Hello, I'm Mantastic and Fantastic, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Spice of Life Godfest that is coming to North America, or should be, because Europe announced it, and I'm going to presume North America follows suit with the same featured Pantheons and Godfest exclusives. So, as with any Godfest, it's best to try and do as much research as possible on the respective Pantheon monsters available, because you want to find the most value for your magic stones. Yes, it's a gamble, but you want to take gambles when you have the highest probability of rolling things you actually need. So if you need, say, one card out of the 10 featured monsters, probably not the best idea to roll. Conversely, if you need, say, 7 or 8, that is a great time to roll. These opinions are obviously based on my own judgment and my own somewhat probably bias to my own monster box and playstyle, skill level situation, so on and so forth. So take everything with a grain of salt, because if these things benefit you, you should be rolling for them. So, like I said before, Europe announced this Godfest, so I'm going to assume North America did. Changes may happen. I hope they don't, because this took a lot of time to produce, so let's pray they don't change. So, Day 1 features the Egyptian 1 series, as well as the Mechanical 1 series, along with all these Godfest exclusives. If you go to my website in the link below, you can click on all of them and they'll link you to Puzzle and Dragon X so you can read more about them. Day 2 has the Archdemons and the Sengoku Pantheons, and as along with a different array of Godfest exclusives. Most notably, the differences between the 2 days that probably will possibly impact your rolling decision is Day 1 lacks both the Kalis and the Dragonbound, so like Kaede, Sumire, Tsubake, most notably Kaede. So you're missing Dark Kali, which is staple on a lot of high-end teams, and then you're missing Kaede, which is again staple or a leader on many high-end teams. So Day 1's Godfest exclusives are a bit lacking by comparison, just from that point of view. However, Godfest exclusives obviously are very rare to roll, so maybe prioritize Pantheons first. So in Day 1, we feature the Egyptian 1s, and the Egyptian 1s are some of the oldest cards available in Puzzle & Dragons. At the time of their heyday, they were considered the best, like leaders and somewhat subs as well. However, power creep has not been kind, and they've been kind of pushed down a lot. Now, they have had Ace Horus, Ace Best Cat released, but they give them a bit more viability, but it's not endgame material. Like, it is stronger than what their Awoken forms are, but I think they're uglier, which is obviously a downside. And is it really going to make that much of a difference? Maybe not. So in Egyptian 1, really the good cards are Awoken Isis, who is still a great sub on many teams, and Awoken Ra, because he's a staple push button character, as well as an inherit to deal with pre-draws. Moving to the next Pantheon of Mechanical 1, they have just received their new evolutions, and we've got 4 out of the 5 in North America. And these new evolutions give them the power to have 2 skill lock resists, 2 skill boosts, 2 orb enhances, and oh gosh, what's my memory doing to me? 2 orb enhances, 2 heal enhance orb awakenings, and finally God Killer. Along with all of them performing Heartbreak, so they change hearts to their respective color, as well as jammers and poisons. So this is a great way to help tidy up your board or solve full board change problems when you get lots of poison jammers. Unfortunately, they are a Heartbreaker in a Heart Cross meta, and even though their awakenings and their base stats are powerful, it's not going to be used on some of the top teams because you remove Heart Orbs, and that can be problematic, and that makes me a little sad because they could have been so much better if they changed a different color orb. If they changed a different color orb, they'd be phenomenal, but I guess they don't want to make them too powerful because people would be too happy. So, Mechanical 1s are that, and then the Godfest exclusive, I did touch upon this. They don't have Dark Kali, they don't have Kaede. Granted, Godfest exclusives are rare to roll, but why not at least increase your chances? So Day 1 is a bit lackluster in my opinion, and I'm just going to kind of give a brief overview of all the cards. So you have Awoken Horus, who was a good leader 2 years ago, maybe, I'm guessing. I maybe lose track of time, but it's a long time ago, let's put it that way, since Horus was good. Like, the Flaming Fire Chicken was good, now he's kind of cooled off, and he hasn't been put in the oven for a while. You do have Ace Horus, but it's only a sub for okay teams, because Ace Horus does convert all orbs into fire, water, wood, light, dark, and enhances fire orbs. So it doesn't make heal orbs, and because it doesn't make heal orbs, it's not that good, because the best rainbow leaders in the game all require heal orbs to activate, so you can't use Ace Horus as an inherit or a sub, so what's the point? An ace horse is kind of ugly in my opinion. I'd rather just keep my Awoken horse if you had one, but you can obviously use your judgment. There is a link to the ace collab review. You can click there if you want more information. So next is Awoken Isis, and Awoken Isis is probably the most solid role from this pantheon in terms of everyday usage from players. She is one of the best bases for skill inheritance because she only has a 3-turn cooldown, and she covers the awkward water and wood, so it's great for rainbow leader teams such as Raw Dragon, and Isis's God typing allows her to benefit from the full multiplier, and Awoken Isis was, for the longest time, a staple sub on Raw Dragon teams, and still is a good option because you can clear binds on a quick cooldown, or you can inherit something like a board changer or a damage enhancer or whatever you need, and you got all your things were covered. Because you have Dark Kelly and Isis, all your covers are colored, so it makes life a lot easier, and she's better than Sun Quan and Orochi because she has that flexibility and the ability to clear binds. She's also a great sub on mono water teams because she does have modest offensive awakenings, like somewhat the most offensive of any mono water or any bind clearing option, because she does have 2 enhanced orbs in 1 row. So I think she's fantastic. She's pretty, so probably one of the best roles from this pantheon. Best Cat was really perfect a long time ago, like Horus, but she's fallen out of favor. Like 36 times, even with 2 prongs, is okay, but you can get so much more damage nowadays for much less effort. So people might still use Awoken Best Cat, but they're probably switching to Ace Best Cat. And Ace Bastet does allow you to achieve 144 times multiplier, so she's like, they are essentially better in every way possible. They have a better leader skill, they have I guess relevant awakenings, but you do obviously miss the poison resist, but then again that's not that common. I guess Ace Best Cat does have a weaker active because it's 6 not 5 turn cooldown, so that's the only downside. But if you are planning to use Best Cat as a leader, you really need to make her Ace form, and I don't like it because it's not as pretty, but it at least is a more viable leader. The only downside is it has a high skill cap because it's not reliable hitting 10 combos every time, along with having no recovery, no health multiplier, so you will be quite vulnerable to stalling and various attacks. Next up is Ra, and Ra has, or at one point was, the best leader in the game when he was 100 times and nothing else came close. Now he is rather lackluster because he's active skill reliant and he is just not as good as what you have available now compared to Raw Dragon, Sharius Roots, Ranave, those other Rainbow leaders, so on and so forth. However, Awoken Ra is now one of the most desired monsters in the game because of his active. His active allows you to deal 77,777 true damage to all enemies. That allows you to basically push button through high defense monsters, which includes killing pre-draws. And that's incredibly important because you do, to a certain extent, need a way to deal with pre-draws in Arena 2 and 3, as well as Mythic Plus rushes. So Awoken Ra can be used as an inherit, like an assistant for skill inheritance onto your teams, and you can bypass all of these challenging dungeons now with ease. And if you are lucky enough to pull multiple Raws on your account, you can form glorious push-button teams where you could just push a button and kill like all the Tamadras, all the pre-draws in those infestations, so on and so forth. So he has a lot of value. You're not going to necessarily use him all the time, but huge amount of value. It makes your quality of life that much higher. And finally, we come to the one true Doge, which is Anubis. He was, for a long time, the most powerful leader in the sense that he could achieve the highest multiplier. Now it's still very high, but the amount of effort needed is astronomical because you have to use active and hit 12 combos. 12 combos. The board can only give you 10 at most. So you have to get the perfect board and then pray for Skyfalls. Not reliable, he's not used often, and his main, I guess, asset now is being able to change away jammers and poisons and granting a 4-turn counterattack. And the 4-turn counterattack can be used to bypass certain bosses with resolve, such as Zeus Hera, but it's niche at best. You can inherit him onto various teams, or use him as a big sub, as a placeholder, because he does have high recovery and bind immunity, so you may have value there. Again, you may want to read all of my articles because I do go into more depth there. I'm just kind of summarizing them for the video. So, the next monster is Antares. Antares, who has received an amazing Awoken evolution because you now have a God Killer and 2 skill boosts. And this is the same for all the mechanical gods that have received these new evolutions. And Antares basically is a great mono-fire sub, but he's not going to have a great home yet because it's a Heartbreaker, even though there's no real Heart Cost Fire Leader. But you have to wait, I think, for Awoken Krishna. And when you get Awoken Krishna, you are able to use him as a good sub. And that means, because Awoken Krishna or not Awoken, like Yu Evo Krishna requires lots of red orb changers and does benefit from the orb enhances, so Antares is a good option. And being able to take away jammers and poison and converting them to your primary color helps alleviate sub-constraints for board refreshes, and that applies to all the Mechanical 1 series. I guess one interesting option is you can use Antares on a Awoken Cow team, because if you have 4 cards with haste on a 7-turn cooldown, you form a system in which you can use 1 active every turn. So if Awoken Cow had multiple Scarlets or Antares, you can use all your subs actives once in a row, so every turn you use 1 sub active, and it'll hasten up all the others to use them again on the 5th turn. Something niche, but worth keeping in mind. Alareshka is the only one not to have her ultimate evolution, and right now she's kind of lackluster because she doesn't have that ultimate evolution. Like, if you basically are ignoring the 2 skill boosts and the God Killer awakenings, I didn't change her icon yet, but you're basically ignoring those, and it's kind of hard to build around it because she does break cards, so Sumire and Beach Mirror don't like her, and you just have better options, to be honest, when you play mono water teams. Spica is very pretty, and I need to actually add one little thing to her note here, but Spica is a machine type, and with Machine Athena now being released in North America, she makes a viable sub for Machine Athena teams because she's a machine type. So if you're lacking a lot of wood machine cards, which most people probably are, Spica makes a good option. And she does have nice thigh highs. What can I say? That's the main benefit of using Spica now, aside from possibly using her as a way to upgrade various actives because you can remove poison and jammers. Pollux is probably the most well-rounded and viable of all the Mechanical 1 series gods because she plays a great role on rainbow teams. Now, like Kali, Awoken Sakuya, and Awoken Ra have kind of passed their heyday. However, on Awoken DQXQ teams, she is phenomenal because she covers the very challenging to cover dark attribute, so that we don't have to like jump over hurdles to incorporate one, which you don't have to, but it helps. And the fact that she has God Killer allows you to kill various floors faster. Her active is fantastic, and even though DQXQ is row-based, the enhanced orbs do make a big difference because you do heal more. You do have a lot more passive damage from the enhanced light orbs because most of your team may have light rows. And furthermore, when you break hearts of any of the Mechanical 1 gods, you actually retain those enhanced status to the primary color. So you're getting a lot of damage value out of her. So Pollux, I think, is one of the strongest of this whole pantheon just because she has a good home on Awoken DQXQ teams. Finally, we come to Castor, and a lot of people use Castor as a leader for a while because you could pair with Yomi Dragon. It's not a terrible starting option. You can pair with Yomi Dragon for that reason. And you can also mix and match with even Awoken Yomi, so on and so forth. So you do have some interesting pairings. His new evolution does give some power. Like, you can use him on Awoken Lucifer teams, but I don't think he's that great because of his low base recovery, and tank teams want cards with high recovery, and the fact that you're breaking your hearts kind of isn't ideal because that kind of counteracts the idea of stalling. Overall, I think the Mechanical ones are strong, it's just if they didn't break hearts, they'd be so much better. So, in day 2, we feature the Archdemons and the Sengoku. So, the Archdemons are another old pantheon who was at the very bottom for a while, and they've climbed back up and kind of go through a bit of a roller coaster at this point. And one reason why they are somewhat of a frustrating pantheon to roll, especially for beginners or mid-level players, is that they don't have very much value when they come out of the egg machine because they have incredibly long cooldowns that are hard to skill up, or they only have true power in their Awoken forms, which you have to obviously work towards. So from your mid-game and early-game perspective, they're not good rolls because you can't use them viably. They're just not viable at that point. However, if you're able to max skill them all and awaken them, so on and so forth, they do gain more value. Conversely, the Sengoku Pantheon is great right from the get-go, and they are somewhat infamous for their amazing actives, because their actives combine several components. Like, for instance, Sonata and Akachi combine primary orb color making active with the heart generation and enhancing the damaging orbs. So for Akachi, that means you make dark, you make hearts, and enhance all the dark. All in one active. So that means you get your damage enhance and your burst and heal all at the same time. No one else can compete with that, so you're saving so many sub-slots, inheritance options, so on and so forth. And the Sengoku Pantheon has really powerful and unique actives, so they were great for a long time. People would even run them as subs because their active is so powerful. When skill inheritance came out, many people may have dropped them and used them as inherits, like assistants. But now with their ultimate evolutions being released, they gained more awakenings, higher base stats, and they're powerful now. They're really strong, so they're in a very good place right now. Furthermore, with the Godfest exclusives featuring Kali's and Kaede, it's a much stronger data roll overall compared to day 1. So, Belial is, I think, kind of at the bottom in terms of viability for the Archdemons. Like, Belial and Amon, and even Bale, all their actives are low-value actives. They either are 7 or 8 turn cooldown, and all they do is convert one non-hard orb into their primary color, along with a 4-turn counterattack. So, a single orb change is normally a 5-turn cooldown. They are 7 or 8, just because they add the counterattack mechanic. The counterattack mechanic is nearly useless, except for when you fight certain bosses that have resolve and they don't have an execution ability that one-shots you. So for instance, Zeus Hera is a way to get around it. You pop their active, you kill Zeus Hera's resolve triggers, they hit you first with their 90% health cut, and you counterattack them back and they die. That's kind of the main usage of these counterattacks at the moment. So their active is low value, plus it requires, I think, 10 skill ups, and even if you get 10 skill ups, the active is still not the greatest. So you're using a sub that has good stats, good awakenings, but a poor active, and that's kind of awkward. And the active is at 7 turns. If it was shorter, you could at least inherit something on top of it. So Belial's kind of in that category, and I guess his main benefit would be the fact that he can combo with Leyland. So you can use Leyland and then Belial for 2/3 Fireboard. Maybe that'll work on Awoken Krishna, but for now, I think he's lackluster. And the same can be said for Amon. He has no combo synergy with any regular water board changer except for Beach Erd. And if you have a Beach Erd, Amon might work. But if you have Andromeda, who also converts fire to water, you should run Andromeda. 9 out of 10 times, you'll probably run Andromeda. I guess perhaps Amon's Machine Killer does have niche uses, but again, it's niche, and I don't think he's that powerful just for that reason. I think I've rolled 4 or 5 Amons in my account, and that makes me sad, because that's a lot of magic stones. Next is Awoken Astaroth, and Awoken Astaroth does form a reasonably powerful team. Like, you do, like, at the time of a release, it was reasonably powerful. 2.25 times health, 20.25 times attack. But unfortunately, you have to use wood, devils, and healers. So your sub pool is very small. Like, you have Awoken Artemis, Freya, Green Valkyrie, and Michael, but that's kind of the extent of it. So you're going to have a tough time building a team. And then the fact of the matter is, the team is not going to be that good because the leader skill is outdated. So it is strong, but it's awkward to make. In a sense, you need really specific cards, and you may not be struggling to find friends who reliably run her just because it's just rare to find them, in my opinion. So she was good. She's very pretty still. But her active is a lot stronger because at least you convert jammers and poisons, and because of the jammer poison conversion, you can use her as an inherit on mono wood teams, or even as like a sub because it has a lot of value because it can save you yourself from using a board changer. That, I think, is a great benefit for Awoken Astaroth. And I wish all the other ones did come with these poison and jammer removals. Next we have Awoken, or regular Bale, and Bale has a lot of power in the sense that he has the co-op multiplier bonus. And the co-op multiplier bonus means he has 50% more stats just for himself. And 50% more stats is huge because, say he had 800 weighted stats, now he has 1200. Massive increase. And also the plus eggs also contribute. So you gain an extra 150. So basically, instead of plus 297, he's like plus 450. It's a big deal. So he is strong, however, his active is weak. You only convert water to light, so only Superman really combines with him, so that is rare. And this is niche, but Bale screws you over in co-op when you're playing dungeons with damage absorption mechanics. So if you fight, say, Vishnu, Sopdet, you're going to be screwed because he's going to do too much damage compared to your other subs, and if you try and do less damage, you won't do enough overall just to avoid Bale's heal. So that is where he can be problematic, and that's why I would not want to run him, say, on my arena teams, because if you encounter Sopdet or Vishnu, you're going to have a bad day. Same with Hera Dragon, so on and so forth. You're just going to have a bad time because he's going to be healing the boss. That's just my opinion, but he's good 9 out of 10 times in every other case for that co-op multiplier. And finally, we come to Awoken Lucifer. And Awoken Lucifer is kind of like the savior of the Pantheon in the sense that he has the most viability. Because even though he forms a 1.82 times health and recovery and 16 times attack Devil and God Dark team, it's still quite powerful because you have a huge subpool to draw from that are Gods and Devils, along with having 3 row enhances, 3 skill boosts, and the God Killer. And the God Killer is huge because he is dealing 3 times damage to certain bosses, which is most things, along with the friend Lucifer using as a leader. So a lot of power there. His active is reasonable. You get convert 3 random orbs to dark, as well as granting 150,000 true damage to a single enemy. So you can't execute 1 pre-draw, 1 Tamadra, so on and so forth. May have uses, may help you from now on here and there. Also helps correct bad board changers because you get 3 more dark orbs. But I did write quite an extensive team building guide, maybe a bit outdated because he is a bit outdated, but still a powerful leader. And he's probably one of the more popular cards still because he's easy to use because he's very safe. Because you have a lot of health, you have a lot of recovery, you deal great burst damage with actives. So he is popular, he is strong, so a good card to roll overall. And finally we come to the Sengoku Pantheon. As I mentioned before, their actives are their shining feature, and with their ultimate evolutions, some have not been released in North America yet, they are phenomenal as subs or inherits. So Sonata converts water to fire, light to heal, enhances all fire orbs. So huge potential burst damage, and you can, like, he doesn't have a great home right now because fire leaders don't have really a good, like, fire does not really have a good leader at this point, and Xiang Mei doesn't use gods or attackers, so he can't be used there. He's used as an inherit, but not as a sub. So he can be used in Rao teams or Awoken Cao Cao, but Awoken Cao Cao is kind of push-buttony, and not many people run Rao at this point. So, to be honest, I'd say you're just waiting for him to have his evolution, as well as Ultimately Evolved Krishna. Because of Ultimately Evolved Krishna, Sonata will be a dream sub because of all the power he brings with his active and awakenings. One good thing to note is if you use Mori Montanari's active and then Sonata, you actually get a full board of Enhanced Fire. Niche, but something to keep in the back of your mind. So, Mori Montanari also gets a new evolution at some point, hasn't been released yet. When that happens, he's going to be a phenomenal sub of mono water teams. Until then, a little lackluster because not enough awakenings or base stats, but once you do, he's probably going to be finding a lot of usage because he's going to be very powerful. A lot of passive damage with those 4 row enhances. Mitsunari is kind of in an awkward place. On paper, his active looks strong, but the thing is, mono wood teams are not really needing that type of active because it's really Awoken Liu Bei at this point, and I guess Awoken Bestcat as well. But Awoken Bestcat doesn't benefit from the rows. Awoken Liu Bei does, but Awoken Liu Bei likes to push button things. And yes, you can use Mitsunari's active and then Liu Bei for a full board of wood, but that requires pressing 2 buttons. Whereas if you get a Zeus Dios, it's 1 button. So for those trying to min-max their time, Mitsunari is not a good option. You could possibly use him as a way to overcome a combo shield with a tri-colored board changer, but in all honesty, a dual-colored board changer through Green Sonya or through Green Sonya is a lot stronger because it's easier to match 2 elements and make combos than 3, because you might have more RNG and get a really poor board of Mitsunari. So, and then I guess one other thing also hindering his helpfulness is the haste animation takes time. Small little things, but people who push button want to maximize their efficiency. And finally we come to Keiji, and Keiji does gain an extra skill lock resist, 2-prong, and Devil Killer with his new ultimate evolution. He reshuffles the entire board as well as granting a turn of haste. And that reshuffle is important because it removes locked orbs. And the locked orbs are problematic, as you saw from the 297 Zeus dungeon, and he's one of the only options for removing locked orbs. So it is something good to have, but really as an inherent in niche situations. His active is unreliable because it doesn't guarantee the spawn of all three elements, so it's not as good as Dark Kali. As a sub, it's just not reliable enough. I wouldn't run him because there's a good chance you use the active and you just get orb trolled. And finally, we come to the superstar that is Akachi. And Akachi in this form has 4 Dark Rows. Like, that's miraculous. And Akachi has Fire to Dark, Water to Heal, Dark Orbs Enhance, all in an 8-turn cooldown. And he has beautiful synergy with Haku and Zuo. You can make incredible burst board potentials with 2/3 Darks, 1/3 Wood or Hard Orbs. Like, crazy amounts. Like, the value in his active is superb. And a lot of mono Dark teams run Devils and Rose, so you will have Dark Xiangmei coming out, or Halloween Xiangmei coming out soon. You have Lucifer, you have Pandora, like, even you can use him on Yomi Drag just because the active is so good. Like, the list goes on and on. Like, he's such a good sub to have, and now if this a new evolution just got released, even better. I just think it's fantastic. I really wish I had one. So, in conclusion, I like to say Day 2 is better just because you have the Sengoku Pantheon available, because they're so strong, especially with these new evolutions coming out. Unfortunately, the Archdemons, unless you really want Lucifer, are not so great, so the pairing is not the best. The Godfest exclusive features are good, but it's still a better day overall compared to the Day 1. So let me know what you think about this review. What are you looking to roll for? How much are you planning to wager in terms of magic stones? And also, what day do you want to roll? So let me know what your plans are, and I will be doing a Halloween REM review soon, so stay tuned for that. So in the meantime, have a Mantastic day, and happy puzzling!